We are often told that we can't have it all. You can't have a brilliant career, grow an amazing business, and have a really good personal life where you also feel healthy and vibrant and emotionally well. I simply don't agree with that. I really believe that we are here to experience it all. The reason why we are often not is because we are not choosing it, or we're choosing things that are actually not really serving us well. Hi, I'm Sonia, and I'm here to help you grow fully, both in your business, in your career, and also in your personal life, so that the two integrate really nicely together. So before I go into my 3 lessons, I want to give you this perspective of choice. So every day we have a choice. We can choose what we do, what we say, what we think, what we feel. Think about this. Every day, life is a gift, and we are not forced to do something. We are not in a prison. However, we can be in a self-imposed prison. We have to do this to get that. If we are pleasing that person, then this person is going to help us with this and this. Self-imposed prison. I invite you to take your autonomy back and make choices for yourself each and every day. Choices that are going to be good for you, for both your professional life and also your personal life. So the first thing I want to say is that when we think about our external growth, business success, financial success, career success, we often think that we have to sacrifice something, and we often make that the starting point. Now, interestingly enough, if we turn that around and we make our life the starting point, and who we are and what we value and what our circumstances are, it actually flows a whole lot better. What I experienced in my career, early on in my career, and I see this today still a lot with ambitious and driven people, is that we tend to overwork, and we tend to overservice, and we tend to just keep going and going. And the way that the analogy that I use for this is that we are looking at our careers as a race. Because, okay, every day is a day, and we have to keep performing, and we have to just keep going and going and going. And it's so cool to be busy, hey? Because everybody's busy. And if I'm busy, I'm important. And I'm wearing my busyness as a badge of honor. But think about your career journey, or your business and your business journey. It's a marathon. It's not going to be over in a sprint. It's going to take you a very long time. And how do we run a marathon compared to running a sprint? It's a very different way. If you run a marathon the way you want to run a sprint, you're not going to be very effective, and I think you're going to burn out sometime along the way. And that's why so many people burn out, including myself. I had that experience as well. Also, what I learned is that sometimes less is more. So I was in a really amazing global role before I had my twin boys. I was leading a global team, a sales and marketing team, and for an amazing boutique travel company. We did small group journeys to Asia, really authentic experiences combined with luxury. We had an amazing reputation in the market. People loved us. People would come back to travel with us again. We were mainly based in Asia and also in Australia, and I helped the company go global, also go to the US and also go to Europe. So it was a very exciting time. I was working with people from all over the world. I was traveling everywhere. I was enjoying it. I was in my element. And from the moment I fell pregnant and I could tell my boss about what was happening, I didn't want to let that life go. So I told my boss, I'm going to work through maternity leave. I'll come back 3 days after my maternity leave. You don't need to replace me during my maternity leave. I can handle it. What was I thinking? Anyway, I did this during my maternity leave. I had twin boys. I'm still living in Sydney. All my family is in the Netherlands. So it's my husband and me and 2 little babies, both having a career. And me, every time the twins would go down for sleep, I would work. And after 3 months, went back to the office and stepped into my old job for 3 days a week. So a 5-day job was condensed into 3 days. And did that work? I thought I could make it work because I'm Superwoman. Didn't work. 2 things happened. I lost the enjoyment. I was sitting in China in a hotel and I was looking at myself and like, what am I doing here? My boys are back in Australia. What am I doing? I used to love this and I simply don't love this anymore. And secondly, I completely got exhausted, close to burnout, because I was, as I mentioned before, running on the treadmill, running the race. And I felt that I had to prove myself even more. So that didn't work. And something really bad and really good happened in 2008. You might remember it. The financial crisis hit. Financial crisis hit and travel was affected very badly. So the first thing I had to do was make half of my team redundant, and then it was my turn. I was made redundant. And you can think, oh, this is really bad, but it was actually the best thing that happened to me at that time because it forced my hand. I had to step out. And what I did was I went, okay, I'm not going to run like crazy anymore. I am going to create my own job that I can do in 3 days a week. And I created my own strategic marketing consulting and leadership company, and which was a joy to work on while my kids were here, small, kids were growing, and it really fitted into my life. And what I also learned, that I was able to build a successful business. I didn't need 5 days a week. People said to me in the beginning, you're never gonna make this work. And I went, watch me, I will. And it just shows that you don't need to have 100%. If you have 50%, 75% time, but you really make that time work, it's still gonna work for you. So think about your life, what lights you up, what is important to you, and how can you fit that within your career. And this also brings me to my second point, which is that something that athletes know really well, or coaches of athletes know really well, and that is that recovery, downtime, resting, switching off is as important as training, peak performance, because you can't keep doing that all the time. And it's interesting that in business, we think we have to keep running all the time. I mean, there's a reason why there's 5 work days and there's a weekend. There's a reason why there's holidays in a year. And the challenge is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that is because of mobile devices. It's so much harder nowadays to switch off. If you are a person that picks up your mobile phone in the morning and checks emails or checks messages, you go straight into the race mode. Yes, it might give you a dopamine hit because you feel good for a little bit, but it goes straight into that let's get running mode. So this busyness, this badge of honor, look at me, I'm so busy, or I'm so popular, or I'm so important, it's actually not really serving us. So the resting time is as important as the peak performance time. And someone that was an amazing, or is an amazing teacher to me is my husband. My husband is a champion at relaxing. He can go sit on the couch, read a book, and just not worry about anything. even if the house is a mess or something else needs to be done. Whereas me, I first need to do everything on my to-do list before I can sit down and relax. What do you think happens? That time to sit down and relax never comes, because there's always something to do. I've changed though. I've looked at my husband and like, you've got it right. So now I am really consciously putting in time to relax and to recover. And it is so valuable and so enjoyable. And yeah, so recovery is as important as peak performance. And then the final thing, the third tip that I have for you is, no matter how busy you are, ensure that you do one thing, even if it's only 5 minutes. You do one thing for you each day that is going to fill up your cup. This is so important. This is more important than what it actually is that you're doing. So I work with a lot of very ambitious, driven, and highly talented leaders, and also marketeers and business owners. And they are often say, I don't have time, I cannot do this, and I challenge them. Just pick something really small and do it. And one of my marketeers is a young mom, 2 children. She's a marketing director, she's leading a team, very busy in her role. She had this, I call it a limiting belief, that she couldn't do anything for herself because I'm running from work and I'm trying to juggle everything. However, what she decided to do was, she's driving into work, she parks in the car park, she sits in her car, and all she does is she closes her eyes and she breathes, and she puts her feet, she feels into her feet, and she grounds herself for about 2 or 3 minutes. Do you feel the energy? She goes into the office, she does her work day. At the end of the day, she jumps back in her car, she drives home, she repeats the same thing. She sits in her car park, in her car, before she goes into the house. She sits there for 2 to 3 minutes. She's filling up her own cup before she goes back to her family. And it's been such a profound experience for her. It's really changed the way that she's experiencing her work life and also her personal life. I personally have a morning routine with meditation and also exercise. So I box and I do strength training. And this morning I was talking to one of the lawyers who's training there. And obviously as a lawyer, they're on very heavy demanding jobs. And she said, sometimes I don't know what time I'm gonna get home. It might be 11 p.m. But she said, I never ever skip my morning exercise. And I said to her, this is so wonderful. I said, your colleagues who don't do anything for themselves, they must be feeling in a very different state. And she said, yes, it's very different. They're more grumpy, they eat bad foods. So it doesn't matter what it is, it doesn't matter how busy you are. If my very ambitious and very driven marketing manager and this lawyer can do this, then you can do it as well. So yes, those are my 3 tips. It's about taking responsibility, it's about making the choices, and it's about just learning and improving and doing each and every day. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. See you in the next video.